when it comes to our emotions, we have how our conditioned mind responds to our emotions, but we also have how our true self responds to our emotions. And they're not often congruent to each other. And often our conditioned mind isn't necessarily useful in how it attempts to help us try to control the emotions. Because that's usually what it does. It tries to help control the emotion in order to protect us. But it often can fail at doing this. And when it does that, it can disconnect us from our true self. And what it also do is keep emotions stored in our bodies from the past. So the things that we've experienced in the past will stay there now and create pain and suffering within our bodies. So the true self, though, approaches emotions differently to that. The true self is willing to feel the emotions fully. It accepts them as they are, it allows them to be there, and uses them as information rather than threats. So the emotions are seen as the true self more like tools or signals which are possibly guiding us towards aligned action, understanding, or insight into ourselves, rather than just something as good or bad. So what the true self does, it maintains a peaceful, non-judgmental awareness of the emotions, even the uncomfortable ones, or especially the uncomfortable ones, rather than trying to resist or avoid them. And what it does from there is it distinguishes between experiencing emotions and acting compulsively on them, which allows us to respond wisely rather than react impulsively. So our true self will sit with the emotion and be okay with it, and then we decide whether it's aligned with us to respond to that emotion. Our conditioned mind wants to feel the emotion and act straight away. That's what it does. It wants to kind of do the opposite. The true self is about just let it be and decide. The conditioned mind is like, get rid of it as quick as possible, respond from it as quick as possible. So the true self can choose when to engage or redirect emotions to align with our highest alignment and using them to make decisions to gain clarity. Whereas our conditioned mind doesn't actually do that. Our conditioned mind just says, act upon it the same way each time. And by listening to our emotions instead of controlling them, the true self enhances our own self-understanding, our emotional resilience, and our alignment with our own natural flow, which is a peaceful flow of well-being. So allowing emotions to arise and be felt and pass naturally supports healing of our past as well. Because what it does is it releases up stored emotions, tension, and helps with our growth in our own self-awareness. So when we can actually remember something from the past, if we can sit with the emotion of that and just let it be without trying to think of our way out of it, because that's what our conditioned mind wants to do, or hate on it, that's also what our conditioned mind wants to do, is the more we can actually just sit with it, that's actually releasing the emotion from our body. We're not carrying it with us anymore. And that's what our true self is willing to do, particularly from the past, but it's also happy to do that in the present moment for things that are happening now. So if we understand what emotions are, then it makes it a lot easier to really see how we can allow them. So really what emotions are physiological sensation in our bodies designed to motivate action. But just because they're designed to motivate action doesn't mean we have to act on them. So that's the key part there. Rather than just saying it's there and I have to do it, it could be, well, actually, you know what? Maybe I can just sit with this for a little bit, let it pass through. Because emotions themselves aren't harmful short term, at least not short term. They can be harmful longer term, but not short term. Harm comes from suppressing or storing them. So we can allow them because allowing them doesn't actually harm us. It's just painful. And if we allow them, emotions always naturally come and go. They don't just stay there. They will float away. The wind will come and go. It's not just there forever. So the more we can let that be, the more we can just let it out to let it go. And emotions are all normal as well. They're based on our unique experiences, on our own conditioning, on our biology, and on the context of the situations. So even if we feel we shouldn't feel that way, it's just normal that we do feel it. So sure, my body's responded a certain way. That's okay. I'll let my body feel that. Whether I need to respond from that way or whether my true self has helped me to respond from that way, maybe not. So that's where our job is, to be able to sit with it. Because feeling an emotion doesn't require acting on them. They don't have to control our behavior. So we can let it be there without actually having to do anything. And making peace with the emotions reduces suffering and also builds resilience in us over time. So it means that overall that we sort of build up a muscle to be able to sit with emotions rather than I can only feel this much of it and I have to respond to it. So the more we can sit with them, the more strong we get at not letting them control everything we do. And regularly allowing emotions also lessens the intensity and frequency, especially from the past. So when we can understand that by doing this more and more, then they actually become less and less over time and we don't get as easily triggered too. Because overall, emotions are tools meant to help us, not harm us. And they're really there to help us release pent-up past feelings to promote our healing, to promote our own wellness. And that's really what our true self will do. If we respond to emotions as our true self does, we'll be allowing of them to pass through us and only utilizing them if they serve. Because ultimately the true self utilizes emotions as possible guidance. Possible guidance. So it doesn't mean we have to act on them. Real emotions as enemies to suppress, but as tools helping us navigate a life in a self-loving, authentic and conscious way aligned with our true self.